Okay, welcome back to Zaid Ibrahim Podcast. This is the final part on education in Malaysia. Datin, I am sorry to come back to this question. I didn't think you answered me. I suggested that the cabinet is in denial because the Prime Minister said so. I mean, the Prime Minister did not say the cabinet. The Prime Minister said people are in denial. And since I have no access to the Prime Minister, I have to ask you. I think the cabinet is in denial because in denial, I must explain, means you know the problem, you know the issue, you know the difficulties, you know the detrimental effect of this policy, and yet you do nothing. Now, if you can, before I finish, I also want to highlight to you this fact. There seems to be a different treatment by the minister in respect of Sabah Sarawak. Why is that? Are we talking politics or are we talking about the future of the country?
Right. The denial syndrome. I don't have access to the Prime Minister either, Dato'. So I don't know what goes on in his mind. I don't have access to the cabinet ministers either, although I would like to. But I was in the Majlis Penasihat Pendidikan Kebangsaan (MPPK), which is provided for in the Education Act 1996. I was there between 2018 and 2020. There were 11 of us in the group in the Majlis. It was headed by the late Tan Sri Wan Zahid, who towards the end began to ill and was taken over. The leadership was taken over by Tan Sri Yong Pokon. But after we had in that 2 years, we had set up several subcommittees. One of them was in English, and we also had met I think about 100 times in that 2 years that we were there. And I think we were probably the most active MPPK ever, because generally MPPKs are supposed to meet only 4 times a year. Okay. But at the end of it, after coming out with recommendations to the ministry, which I think is on somebody's shelf collecting dust, unfortunately, I came to the conclusion that the Ministry of Education is in denial. That's why we are where we are. There have been so many comments about the rot in the education system, but the Ministry of Education believes that there is nothing wrong. So like you said, because they don't think there's anything wrong, nothing is being done. But I think one of the solutions is that the most common argument is that it's always the implementation. So what you should do is, I think, again, we have fantastic policies, fantastic programs, but it's the implementation. So if it's really the implementation, I think the ministry needs to go down to the ground and support the teachers who are the implementers. What is it that they need?
Yes.
How can they support them? Do they need a budget? Are teachers still paying for paper and photocopying out of their pockets?
Yeah.
And these are the things that need to be done. And I think this also explains the reason why our PISA is so bad. It's not the COVID. Because everybody went through COVID. And our drop was 6%, which is the worst in ASEAN. So these problems are actually even before COVID started. But we didn't address it.
Yeah. Sorry, Azimah. PISA is actually quite basic test, isn't it? It's about skill in reading.
Reading, science and math.
Science and math, very key subjects. Yeah. Okay. And
but I think it's the questions that are being asked. It's a lot of thinking questions. It's not straightforward.
It's not straightforward.
That's where we lose out.
Okay.
It's the critical thinking. So and I think that from now on, this is what we should be doing, supporting the teachers. But then on the other hand, also, teachers come from Malay medium. They're again restricted in their reading. They don't have a worldview of things. I think this needs to change. So I think teachers also should be proficient in English and read more, and improve their general knowledge of world affairs.
Yeah.
I think these are one of the reasons.
Yes. Okay. Now let's move forward. Okay. I mean, let's say that there is still hope. What do you think needs to be done besides the ministry? What other suggestions do you have?
Well, I think.
What about the parents? I want to come back to this. You mentioned about parents having a central role. because the act says so, the law says so. But are the parents' voices heard? Are they really organized well? Do they have leadership? Do they have money? Do they have mobilizing power to make their voices heard? Because this is their education. I mean, everybody talks about education, but we have to do something.
Yeah. I think that it really depends on where you live. In the poorer states and villages, they probably leave everything to the teacher. For instance, we all know about the Kota Belud case, right? They left everything to the teachers, and even though the English teacher didn't go to school for months on end, and the only reason they knew he was doing this because the students sued the whole system. And then only it came to light.
Yeah.
But it wasn't just the 2 years. He had actually not been going to school for the years. It wasn't just the 2 years.
And the Jabatan
and the Ministry of Education has deep pockets.
Yeah.
And luckily for the students, it was pro bono.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think the ministry has to sit down and figure what exactly is the problem with the implementation.
But coming back to the parents, can you organize it better, you think? Or
I
can
think
they do more?
I think some parents are also indifferent, but there are also parents who guide their children. They make decisions, for their children's future. For instance, when this dual language program problem arose, the PTA chairman of these 5 schools that we know of wrote to the ministry, wrote to the minister, wrote to Pengarah, JPWPKL, but there was no answer. Not surprisingly, there was no answer, so they couldn't move. So they came to Page when they failed. We also did the same until we got an appointment in October by JPWPKL. Then only things started to move because we had a media blitz. They couldn't ignore us anymore.
Yeah.
So, even if the minister and the Pengarah don't even acknowledge letters and appeals from the PTA chairman, what hope do we have?
Yeah. Okay. So every school has a PPA?
PTA, yes.
Every primary school?
Every secondary, every primary school has a parent-teachers association.
And okay. And who funds this association? I am sorry to ask you this.
The parents.
This is not from government then?
No, it's parents. There's subscription. It could be, 50 ringgit a year or something. Nominal.
And of course, their effectiveness varies from place to place.
Yeah.
It varies on the people.
Sometimes they do fundraising, sometimes they get... The poorer schools are very good in getting funds from corporates. In fact, the poorer schools get better funding from corporates than the urban schools.
Yes, I think education is dear to the most people, corporate ka, tak corporate ka, orang kaya, miskin. So I hope it's a good work you have done, but there are a lot more people should come forward and organize themselves. Keluarga, PTA, Parent-Teacher Association, orang politik di bawah sana. I think these are issues that close to the people's heart, education. Jadi saya rasa lah kalau boleh kita mobilize lagi. We need to mobilize in more effectively.
I think ministers, when they come in, are eager to leave a legacy. But I think
they're all the same.
Yeah, but I think that reinforcing what is already running could also be a legacy.
Yeah.
For instance, the dual language program.
Yeah.
Reinforce it, expand the numbers.
Yeah.
This could be your legacy.
They cannot be short term.
Yeah.
Legacy does not come out in short sprints.
Unfortunately, the Minister of Education, when she came in, one of the first things she did was to close the National STEM Centre. I thought that was a great disappointment. Close the National STEM Centre.
What is that?
It is an organization that was set up between MOSTI and the Ministry of Education, and decided to put it under the Ministry of Education so that they could have a better control of STEM in schools. But she closed it. And why it was called National Centre? Because we had...
STEM stands for
STEM. science, technology, engineering, math.
Okay, science,
STEM.
technology, engineering, maths.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And because we had great plans, that's why it was called national. We had great plans for it, but now
And the
she's
minister
closed it.
just closed it
Yeah.
down.
So and sometimes I wonder if she realizes the difference between English language and STEM and English. It's a vast difference.
Okay. Okay, so she just closed down a very important
Yep.
establishment.
Yep. So but again, I think you mentioned about Sarawak tadi kan.
Sarawak Sabah tu nampaknya lain sikit.
Sarawak and Sabah, because of MA63, they get away with English. Sarawak has really capitalized on MA63. Unfortunately, Sabah hasn't. And Sarawak even has its own Ministry of Education. That's why they want to reinstate UPSR. They are able to have 100% DLP.
I think I'm going to migrate to Sarawak.
I think a lot of people are. So what happens is with Sarawak, just to give you some numbers, some perspective. There are 1,600 primary schools that offer DLP, but there are almost 8,000 schools, primary schools. Okay, see?
Yeah.
1,600 primary schools offer DLP. Out of that, 1,200 are in Sarawak.
Yeah.
So in Sabah and Peninsula, there are only 348 schools, primary schools, which offer DLP, which amounts to 5.3%.
And how do you expect English to be enhanced?
And yet the minister wants to close some more.
Yeah. Well, I think we are facing a disaster in the field of education. Okay, Datin, I would have thought with Anwar Ibrahim becoming Prime Minister, not only the corruption will be less lah, itu kita dah tahu lah. Yeah? It's very much, every day he talks about abuse of power, corruption. Yeah? But he doesn't talk about education so much, which is very strange because, you see, I remember when he was in jail, he said that he used to read Shakespeare a lot, and the Quran, of course. But to read Shakespeare, your command of English must be very strong. I don't understand Shakespeare, to be honest. Of course, my English is, I was from Malay school for a while too. But here you have a Prime Minister who reads Shakespeare, Macbeth, who can recite all that. Why is he allowing the position that we have today as far as English is concerned? That part baffles me, because I would have thought, because we are going towards artificial intelligence, we're going forward to technology, we're going to the Elon Musk era of everything different from the world before. The next, as they say, the next 50 years to be so different from the past 5,000 years. That's the world we live in, and yet kita masih seolah-olah we are stuck in the old frame mindset,
So called the Pejuang Bahasa mindset.
Yeah, the Pejuang Bahasa and all that.
And what the minister is doing actually contradicting what he's saying.
Yeah, so I would like I don't know whether you agree with me, I would like the Prime Minister to have a paradigm shift on education and the use of English. Apa salahnya kita ada one channel in English misalnya? Or, of course, internet, YouTube, all in English lah. Tapi sekurang-kurangnya show government's commitment to the language for schools. A dedicated channel to enhance English, to increase the support of, or to increase the interest of parents and students to learn English. Jadi, dalam hal ini, so do you agree with me that he should do something radical?
Well, the radical is already happening with the dual language program. Yeah. The minister has announced that she's going to look for and find 10,000 English language teachers. I don't know where she's going to get it from, and that she's going to train them over the next 5 years. But that takes time. What about the students who are already in school? We have the HIP and we have the dual language program. Carry on, reinforce that. She's not the first minister to do something about English. We've been doing everything with English language for decades already, and we see the progress, And I think the other thing the minister should consider is this. We maybe will get the support from the new king coming in. What you can do is, we all know our English language teachers need to be better.
Yeah.
But what do you expect them to be when they come from Malay medium
Malay medium
system?
school, yeah.
So what you should do is, identify just one secondary school in every state, just to turn them into an English medium school for the main purpose of producing fine English language teachers. Let this school be students who come from the B40.
Yeah.
Entice them. You do well for SPM, entice them with a degree abroad. Come back, do your deep ed, and then teach English for the next 10 years. Have a contract with us. You need the immersion, and the teachers have to be immersed in the English language to become excellent English language teachers. Have just one. We're not telling telling the government to turn every secondary school into English medium. Just one. Make an exception.
No, I would change all in English.
We start
I would
small.
do in India for this country.
We start small. Just one secondary school in every state to meet the needs of the state for English language teachers. That's all we need.
Okay. The other thing that I want to ask you is that this lack of replying, lack of response or no response from Ministry Jabatan Pengarah, from Minister, why is that so? What do you think is the problem? Is that they don't have time or they don't care about you?
Beats me. You really have to ask them. I
It's
think
a cultural thing.
I think it's courtesy.
They don't have courtesy.
Yeah.
But this is Madani, Azimah. How can you don't have courtesy? I mean, if you cannot inculcate a basic value of courtesy and responsibility, how do you expect this whole gamut of philosophy called Madani to be understood or even, practiced?
Yeah. I mean, this acknowledgement thing, it could be automated, right? Banks have that, right?
Yeah.
Banks have that. If you go on a holiday, I'm on holiday, it just automatically comes out. Why can't that? You can't even get that, right?
Yeah. I hope Fahmi Fadil, who's the Minister of Communication, can respond to some of my issues. Of course, the Prime Minister will not, but,
Well, YB Fahmi has also been making announcements on education.
But he's not a minister.
No, but he's been making.
No, I want to hear from the minister. Okay, thank you very much, Azimah, for doing this thing. I hope you and your friends in education or people who are interested in this field, please come to my house or come to my studio. Share your thoughts. I don't charge you anything at all. You can have coffee as well.
I don't get paid, right?
No, it's not get paid. But I hope, because especially on this issue of language, But for me, I know, and I think a lot of Melayu, the Melayu who have been fairly okay, who came from the poor family in the kampong. What saved us was education. That's one thing that I remember 50 years, 60 years ago when I grew up in the villages, It's education, it's a school. And I think more people should benefit from this rather than deny, That's why I'm very passionate about it. And thank you again for coming. And I hope, like I said, bring along some of your friends, and then we can talk some more. Terima kasih. Thank you.
Sama-sama.